Guys, welcome to an energy update for August. I cannot believe where this year is actually going, but also I cannot believe the incredible changes that are actually happening, both astrologically and energetically as well. So I just thought I'd kind of fill you in because I popped up a wee post yesterday on Facebook and had a whole lot of people go, oh my gosh, is that what's actually happening? So the way that things are shifting and changing, so we talked a wee while ago about the energy needing to change, where we actually came back to losing faith in other people's opinions, or this sounds weird, but politicians or institutes or whatever that are supposedly there for your best interests but are not actually fulfilling. You have to lose faith in things like that. Why? Because you have to regain trust and faith in you and the decisions that you are actually making for yourself. Now, if you think about having a lifetime where we've been told what to do, so your parents tell you what to do, bless them, then you go to school and they tell you what to do, and then you have a boss and they tell you what to do. We're very used to being told what to do. Now, when that happens, we lose connection with our amazing intuitive side that says, I'm deeply connected to your soul and I know what is in your best interest for you. So a lot of all of this programming, if you like, or ways of living that we had, because of the shifts and changes in energy, those things are no longer serving you at a soul level. Now, before everyone jumps on their hobby horse and says, I have to have a job, I've got to work, I've got to do that, absolutely. And how are you going with that? Because as your soul is shifting and changing, then you're going to find what you thought was your purpose, what you're really into, or whatever you told yourself was what you were supposed to be doing. If it has any cracks or holes or frustration in it, or doesn't 100% serve your soul, you'll be looking at it sideways again at the moment. And that includes, because we're in relationship energy, that you're looking at, does this actually really serve me anymore, or what do I actually truthfully want as well? We're supposed to be doing these investigations. Why? Because if you're regaining trust in yourself, then you have to deeply reconnect to your heart-based energy, not your programming. So I've got a lot of people asking me to explain a little bit the way that I see that it's going on. So I kind of want to work it this way. Say you had a black and white movie where the actors were very stilted and they learned a certain way, and they basically were, because it was black and white and it was hard to capture everything that was actually going on emotionally, that they put a little bit more um, containedness or a little bit more structure into how they were acting. But it was very, very black and white, very black and white. So literally, that's our societal programming that we've had for a very long time. We call it that grey scale of very, very black and white. We're in the middle of a stretch, is the best way I can describe it right at the moment, to head into Technicolor. Now, what does Technicolor actually entail? And it is living more heart-based. I've talked about alignments that we're supposed to be telepathic. We have to come into unity. So we have to start with ourselves, which is basically in this relationship energy, which is driven by the relationship with yourself. As soon as you're getting ratty and frustrated with somebody else, you are not getting ratty and frustrated with them to the same degree you're getting ratty and frustrated with yourself. So be very, very, very careful. Self is all at the bottom of all of this as well. It is your soul, your discontent, your malcontent spirit, call it, that is driving you forward to look at things differently as well. So before you kind of giving me the Red Queen off of the head, before you do that, understand that we're in collective consciousness. So there's an awful lot of people, and yes, we have different evolutionary stages, and you can say, well, that person's not as evolved as me. Correct, they're not, but doesn't mean that you can't cut them some slack as well. So if you have, awake and awarenesses, then part of your journey as being an awake and aware person is holding space for other people to actually evolve if they want to, or giving them room for understanding as well. In the same way that you wanted understanding when you were evolving. We've got very short memories, very, very short memories. So in this stretch that we're in right at the moment, and a lot of aware people really are craving the Technicolor heart-based energy, everything like that, we're having to do some deeply personal, and it is deeply personal, investigations into the truth or Spirit have just said, lies that you actually tell yourself. And I just said, like, lies is a really harsh word. And they said, yes, but how many times inside of your head do you tell yourself an untruth about yourself that isn't actually true, but it's a limiting belief that you've held on to about yourself? And it could be that you had a difficult parent, a difficult teacher, a difficult sibling, someone that told you that you were worthless, that you were useless, you were this, you were that, and it's deeply affected you. Now, in the stretch, this is the stuff that's actually coming to the fore. Now, ladies, I want to stress this hugely. What I am noticing at the moment, and we really, really have to come back to really honouring other people's journeys, is I have so many women complaining to me about the men in their lives, or men in general, to be perfectly honest. And I want you to remember something, please remember something. What gender, bless them, got hammered the most about suppressing their feelings, man up, front up, don't, what are you crying for, don't be a girl, all of those awful things. And we're human beings, right? So I want to stress this. It doesn't matter what gender you are, you have an emotional threshold. Yes, men are different from women. They think differently. We still run the gauntlet of emotions over and over again. Now, in the stretch energy, if we are doing karmic clearing and ancestral clearing and wounding, then men are being hit really, really hard in the stretch, because they've got the universe pushing to say, how do you feel about this? And most men feel deeply, very, very deeply, but have been taught to suppress, push down, hide those emotions. So if I'm going to use a phrase that quite a few people are using, why are they behaving so childlike? Well, you've got to start somewhere. So in the investigations that when in relationship with yourself, letting out emotions again that you've suppressed from where? Childhood, then those are going to start to come out again, and they're coming out in people, not feeling heard, not feeling seen, being petty, being argumentative. All of those energies in the stretch between grayscale, black and white, and heading into Technicolor, they're coming to the surface, the wounding, so that you can actually decide in that moment, will you truly investigate why you feel the way that you feel? Are you going to drop the illusions and get real? Because in realness, we can deeply connect with ourselves and other people. We have a society that is so damaged, just simply because of the fact the degrees of separation between people mean we have no unity. We don't have unity. The times we see unity is amazing. When the earthquakes and flooding, whatever, you see the best in people come out. That is actually the truth of who you actually are. You're not actually guarded, cold, suppressing emotions or anything like that. This is some of the most incredible energy that I've seen in terms of giving it an opportunity in the stretch to get people to see and give themselves permission to actually say how they feel. Now, it's saying how you feel from I feel this way, not you need to understand how I feel. Oh my word, I'm watching that happen constantly. It's those degrees of allowability, because if we stretch our allowability a little bit more into emotional understanding for people, you come into the realms of unconditional love. Now, unconditional love is just acceptance. It's accepting that Joe Blogg up the road does things completely different from you, and that's okay. Not he has to do it my way. So we're having to really investigate our control elements, and we are seeing this particularly at governmental levels, where they are fighting or starting to see where they can push those levels of control. Because if we're heading towards changes in society, and the foundation has always been tell the people what to do, and suddenly you've got the people going, don't tell me what to do, there will be a fight and a power play that happens within the stretch as well. And it's amping up, and it's going to keep amping up. So before we sit in the fear aspect of what's exactly going to change, nothing changes till you start with you. Nothing. Empowerment phase that we're actually in, which is amazing, and don't get me wrong, it stretches for quite a long period of time. So before you think you have to rush a process, because you can't, because it's a process, then it is saying take the time to actually investigate how you truthfully feel about everything. Everything. Now, a lot of people are saying to me, but I need to hold on to my purpose. No, that's you telling yourself that you have to do something. Look, if your heart's in it, by all means, follow your heart, your passion, your love, whatever you think that you're supposed to be doing. That is really, really awesome that you've got that and you've got to that level. But if you're like a lot of people that I'm saying that's going, what's my purpose? I think you need to investigate, and I'm starting people at that point. You need to investigate how you feel about things. Where are you playful? Where are you underneath going through all the motions that you got told that you should be? You know, and there's nothing against those generations, absolutely nothing. When they came back from the war, the poor men that came back from these horrible, horrible wars, they said, we just want to make it a planet that's safe for our families, right? Safe. So what's safe? Predictable. So we'll create predictable jobs, we'll create, buy the house, settle down, have the 2.5 family, whatever, because it will be safe. So for most of us, our parents came through that and through that poverty, you know, in hard times and war times, and came back with that parental programming from the parents that came back from war. Let's just make things safe. So they, basically, boomers if you like, they made things safe, but they made it predictable. So along came the next generation, like Gen X, and they go, this isn't quite what we want to do. So these programming shake-ups are actually happening right at the moment, and certainly going down through millennials and Gen Y, etc., etc. They are shifting and changing as well because they're being more heart-led, because we're coming into the age of Aquarius, or we're starting it, and these ones are geared for that time, heading towards these changes and shifting at a soul level, soul purpose level, are happening, and they're in the stretch. So that's pretty much what's actually going on. So if you are feeling the pinch of looking at your work colleague, maybe your family member, relationship, intimate relationships, and going, you know what, this doesn't serve me anymore, I'm done, and you won't be able to stop the anger, resentment and frustration. Now this is a bit that Spirit is particularly concerned about, because everybody has evolutionary stages, and those evolutionary stages do not last forever. So part of it is actually understanding it is not about the external people. You know, I had a lovely lady, she talked about you know, going out for coffee with friends and just going, oh my God, I can't even listen to what they've actually got to say, because it felt so mundane. It felt like, what are we having for tea? The kids are doing this. Those are all relevant, really important things. But as you're evolving, there's a part of your soul that's craving meaningful, deep, philosophical conversations, or are you feeling the same way as me? People that are on the same wavelength, that sort of thing. So in the stretch, you're starting to actually see what needs to fall away in a nice way. Please be really, really nice about it. In a nice way that actually says, I'm just a little bit faster in my involving. I'll put a call out to the universe for those people that actually, you know, evolutionary at the same threshold as me or plateau as me. But be kind, please, 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 please be thoughtful to those ones that are at different evolutionary speed. And I want to also remind all you gorgeous, gorgeous Kira souls out there as well, not everybody is supposed to transition through, okay? Not everyone is going to wake up the way that you would like them to in this lifetime. So the guides are reminding you to release responsibility. You cannot drag a person forward in evolution if they're not ready to evolve. And I have watched and been guilty of that myself, of trying to pull people forward because I would love them to experientially be at this level or have this understanding or join me just for company, coming forward in this understanding as well. You can't. Release responsibility for individualised soul pathway journeys, and our soul contract with ourselves is very, very individual. So it means that you are stepping forward into your own entirety. Now, I'm giving you and sending you the most awesome hug because I know people are finding this investigation, if you like, or this evolution to be isolating, to be lonely, and you may find that you're hermiting away from people. Now, this is also part of your own understanding so that you can deeply connect to the truth of yourself, back to your intuition, which is really, really heart based, back to understanding you a little bit more, investigating how it feels to relearn. And that frustration, resentment, and annoyance, I suggest you get underneath that because you'll find a lot of it, while you felt it was directed at another person, is actually deeply directed at yourself for thinking you should be more than what you are, different than what you are. You're going to get to investigate um, limiting beliefs, permissive states. So with limiting beliefs, is it your belief? Is it yours? You truly believe that? Or are you recognising that little voice in your head or that little understanding that says, actually, I don't know if I ever really believe that, but I know my parent does, or I know that my sibling does, or my partner does, and you recognise that that is not your belief. So what is? You've got to get underneath that and go, what is the truth of me? Now, as human beings, when you're told what to do an awful lot by other people, parental, teachers, bosses, whatever, one of the things that you'll do is you'll look for validation from somebody else that what you're feeling or what you're thinking is maybe correct. Now, you're going to have to investigate that too, because you don't need validation. You feel exactly the way you feel because you're you. You're as unique as your fingerprints, and you're as special as your fingerprints, but you're having to reinvestigate allowability, permissive states, how you allow yourself to actually be, not for anyone else, but for you. And you do not need any validation from anybody else but yourself. And it's really, really important that you kind of check in and go, oh my gosh, did I just tell my girlfriend how I'm feeling right at the moment because I want her to understand? Or do I want her to tell me that it's actually okay to feel like that? You're going to have to investigate these things when we're looking at limiting beliefs, and this is all in the stretch that I'm talking about as well. Now, before, I have the gorgeous people, and the Spirit's just reminded me, someone is going to say to me, well, how long is this for? That's as long as it's going to be for, until you actually reach a point where you surrender to fighting with yourself and come into that allowability that says, this is just how I feel. And what's going to change? What is going to change is you're not going to overthink anything before you say it. You are not going to cushion anything before you say it to somebody else. Now, before people, look, Spirit reminded me, when we came into this new age era, ages ago, people took it as free license to go, I'm just going to say exactly what I think, because, I've evolved into this, I can just say it whatever I want because in my spirituality I can be as honest as possible. Well, that's fine, but there's degrees of honesty and correct. There's also compassion, empathy, and kindness, and it is about actually not reactively communicating because you want to make a point or shock somebody or trigger somebody else. It is actually being okay and allowability in here to say, I'm actually not invested into taking responsibility for another person's interpretation. I'm actually okay to turn up as me, have an alignment, my thoughts, my words, my heart, so that I can actually be real and truthful with my own self. That's how I'll keep it. So you can communicate with people, But, and absolutely, once that truthful honesty to yourself, there is no reactive energy that actually comes out with it as well. And I think we missed that the first time around, but I do believe that we're pushing towards this understanding in the stretch at the moment. So August is going to be weird for those who are wanting a timeline as well. August is really starting to illuminate. We've got, I think it's about 6 planets in retrograde as well, so that'll be causing some investigations as that energetic push is actually pushing us towards into self-reflection and investigation as well, because that's what retrogrades are about, right? Chances to go backwards, look at things again, reflect, all of those sort of things. So there's some big stuff going on in August as well. Cut yourself some slack. If you are hermiting, and I know a lot of people are, and I know I am myself, then take the time to truthfully investigate. Distraction is a wonderful thing to do when you're avoiding yourself, but you can't get out of your own head. So I suggest, if you are hermiting, take the time to actually think, what does make your soul sing? What do you do that playfully empowers you to say, I actually really love my life as well? What are the aspects that you actually do love? Don't forget the human brain is geared towards negativity, this part here. So it's easy to sit in negativity right at the moment and get into a funk. If you're getting into a funk, then investigate that. Because when we get into funks, it's usually because there's not enough joy, not enough fun, not enough. I'm not saying I'm not saying plan the trip. That'll be a distraction. I'm not saying that. Plan the trip if that makes your soul sing, and you think, oh my gosh, that will just make me feel better. But don't plan it as a distraction. Okay, plan it because you want to actually say, oh my gosh, when I was 10 years old, I promised myself that I would go to Egypt and I would see the pyramids. Go back, look deeply. What did you want back then? What do you still want now? That's underneath all the programming. And truly investigate this, because this stretch is going to make you do it anyway. You may as well be ahead of the 8 ball. Take care of you. Keep shining.